All right, let's jump right in. Today, we are talking about a pretty big deal in the cybersecurity world, the NIST Cybersecurity Framework 2.0. But we're not just going to go over what it is. We're going to talk about why it's so important, because it's a tool that can finally fix one of the biggest, most persistent problems in security, and that's communication.
I mean, just think about it for a second. We have more tools, more data, and more smart people in cyber than ever before. So why do security teams still struggle so much to make their case, to get the budget they need, to actually show their value? Well, the problem, it turns out, usually isn't about the tech at all.
And this is the absolute heart of the issue. A security program can have a million different controls, policies up to the ceiling. But if you can't translate all that technical stuff into actual business impact, you're just not going to get through. The real failure is a communication failure, not being able to talk about risk in a language that the rest of the business, especially your leadership, can understand and act on.
These are the kinds of questions that executives and board members are asking, right? And they're just notoriously hard for security folks to answer clearly. They don't want a long list of vulnerabilities from the latest scan. They want to understand posture, priorities, and they want to hear a consistent story.
So here's our game plan for this explainer. We're going to start with that communication problem. Then introduce CSF 2.0 as a kind of new language for risk. We'll walk through its 6 core functions, see how it works in the real world with things called profiles and tiers, and then wrap up with why all of this really, really matters.
Okay, so let's dig a little deeper into this communication problem. It really all comes down to a huge shift in perspective that, honestly, a lot of organizations just haven't made yet.
For so long, security was all about being control-centric. It was about the checklist. Are we compliant with this standard? Do we install that firewall? The new way, the much more effective way, is to be outcome-centric. It asks a totally different question. What is the security state we actually need to reach to protect the business? It's a subtle shift, but it moves the focus from just being busy to actually being effective.
And this is exactly where the NIST CSF 2.0 comes into the picture. Because to have these bigger, outcome-focused conversations, everybody needs to be on the same page, speaking the same language. And the framework is designed to be that common language. Think of it like a Rosetta Stone for cyber risk.
So here's the big idea. The framework gives you a shared vocabulary to talk about cybersecurity outcomes. It is not a list of products you have to buy or specific controls you have to implement. It defines what you need to achieve, but it leaves the how completely up to you. And that's what makes it so incredibly flexible and so powerful.
All right, let's pop the hood and see what this thing is actually made of. The entire framework is built around 6 big, high-level functions. You can think of these as the fundamental pillars of any solid cybersecurity program.
And here they are. Govern, identify, protect, detect, respond, and recover. Now, it is absolutely critical to understand that these are not sequential steps. This isn't a checklist where you finish one and move to the next. They are a set of ongoing, continuous activities that a healthy program is juggling all at once. And that first one, govern, that's a huge addition. This is the real game changer in version 2.0. By pulling govern out and making it its own function, NIST is basically saying, hey, cybersecurity is not just some IT problem anymore. It's being elevated to the boardroom, right where it belongs. It makes it crystal clear that managing cyber risk is a core part of running the entire business, just like managing financial risk or legal risk.
Okay, so theory is great and all, but how does this actually work in the real world? This is where 2 really cool concepts come in, profiles and tiers, and they're what make the framework tangible and something you can actually use.
Now take a look at this. This is a simple profile for something like a customer web portal. See how clearly it lays everything out? You've got your current state versus your target state. So for multi-factor authentication, maybe we're partial right now, just covering admins. But our goal, our target, is achieved. We want it for everyone. Or look at recovery plans. We're at not achieved. We have nothing. But we know we need to get there. Instantly, this table gives you a clear, actionable story to tell.
And that's the magic of it, right? A profile forces you to get specific. We're not talking about the company, we're talking about the customer web portal. It makes the gaps between where you are and where you need to be glaringly obvious. And maybe most importantly, it anchors all your future decisions about budget, about hiring, about what projects to do next in a clear plan that everyone can see and agree on.
So, if profiles tell you what you're doing, tiers describe how well you're doing it. Think of it as the maturity level, the rigor of your risk management. It answers the question, are your security processes just ad hoc and chaotic, Or are they consistent, repeatable, and always getting better?
So going back to our portal example, we might look at it and say, okay, our governance practices are pretty informal, so that's Tier 1. But maybe our protect controls are way more consistent, putting us at a solid Tier 2 or even a Tier 3. And this nuance is key. You're not just one single tier. You have different levels of maturity all across your program.
And just like we did with profiles, you set a target tier. Boom. Now you have a clear roadmap for improvement. The goal isn't just to buy more tools, it's to strategically improve the maturity of your entire risk management program over the next, say, 18 to 24 months.
So, let's pull all of this together. Why does this framework matter so much? Well, it's because when you use it the right way, CSF 2.0 finally builds that bridge we've needed for so long, a bridge between the technical world of security and the strategic world of the business. And what's cool is, it's a bridge that everyone in the company can walk across. This isn't just a tool for the CISO. Your architects use it to design better systems. Your risk and compliance teams use it to map everything. Even your procurement and legal folks can use it to check on vendors. It creates a shared understanding of risk for the entire organization.
So the payoff here is just huge. You finally get that common language so everyone's on the same page. It's flexible enough to work for a tiny startup or a massive global company. It directly connects all that hard security work to real business goals. And it creates a culture of continuous improvement, not just scrambling to check a box before an audit. Which brings us right back to where we started. It's so easy to get lost in the weeds, just working through an endless checklist of security tasks. So the question I want to leave you with is this. Is your program just busy? Or is it achieving the outcomes that actually matter and actually protect your business? CSF 2.0 gives you a way to find out.